It must have been a rock or something, but you didn't do anything wrong. It just happened. It was violent. Like, you went down harder than anybody else today has gone down.
We had just come up over Hurricane Pass, and we're looking down the road on the far side, and I see Dad go down hard. And immediately have this experience of this heavy, dark feeling beginning to fill the scene. There was fear, there was the pressure to film, and I began to feel like things were unraveling, but mostly in a relational and a spiritual sense, where some of the really gnarly darkness that we were going to encounter was right ahead of us and was beginning to hit us.
Every story, from popular movies to the nightly news, all share one thing in common: the presence of evil in the world.
The most beautiful days of riding were also the most horrible days. They were so spiritually opposed, and there was such a palpable sense of hatred and antagonism as we were riding that even in the midst of this incredible beauty, this horrible feeling filled the scene, and it was cloudy and threatening, and the sense of constant foreboding and constant thwarting. And internally, I was feeling so afraid that someone was about to become horribly injured, but also just personally feeling this confusion, this malaise, like a fog had descended. And it was a horrible thing to ride in. When we got to the top of Engineer Pass, I didn't want to stay a minute.
You will never understand your life or your own story without understanding evil. There is a dark force in the world set against the human race. It's not just that bad things happen. Evil feels personal, intentional, and it is.
You just roll right down the middle of that.
Yeah, okay.
It's going to be okay.
All right.
How do you feel?
Sometimes the attack comes as accusation. The shame, the guilt, all that negative stuff we get hammered with.
The intensity of the spiritual warfare I have never experienced before in my life, and part of me wishes I never do again. It was amazing how quickly each emotion that I felt that was negative was inflamed to a dramatic level, where I crashed my motorcycle and what would normally be like, oh dang, was immediately just this like noise in my head of accusation and frustration and senses of failure, and then other experiences of doing things that I can totally do, that I'm totally capable of, all of a sudden became super hard.
Sometimes it comes as a sort of dread or fear, a darkness we just can't seem to shake. I lost my best friend on an adventure trip like this, and I kept having this dark feeling that it was going to happen again. We began to feel the presence of darkness. We began to feel hunted. We could feel death trying to get in. This is one of the most basic and essential pieces to understanding your own story. You have an enemy. Ignore this, and you will never understand why things are happening the way they are.
Even riding on Hurricane Pass, I was aware that anyone seeing this will misinterpret what they see if they equate the antagonism with something on the level of dehydration. If I'm having bad thoughts, if I'm just afraid, if the adrenaline is finally starting to ebb and I'm dealing with some of the hard riding. I'm not talking about bad thoughts. I'm not talking about disappointment. What we were riding up against was a pronounced and a violent antagonism. I mean a villain set against the joy we were pursuing in this project.
Either you admit there's an enemy, or something else becomes the enemy. You blame family, or other people, another race, politics, even God.
You know, evil seemed to be working to rewrite this story, a story of joy and beauty and goodness, by the fact that it felt like me and others had a hard time with the skill level and the kind of terrain we were riding on. That question of, you're disqualified. You are not meant to be here. You have no right to be here. You have no right to be doing what you're doing. You are a fool. I mean, that sense of foolishness was there, and a bitter, acrid taste, at least for a little bit, each and every day at times. And only through prayer, only through being able to come together as a team, that I feel like there was any dissipating of that darkness.
Evil is real, and evil is personal. Satan is always working to steal, kill, and destroy. So what are you doing to actively resist him?
Father, we ask with all the holy saints that we would have power to be able to make our way down with joy. We stand against the thief who has been working virtually every minute to steal joy. We claim joy as a result of what you have done on our behalf, and ask in your name that you would infuse in every heart here a sense of the goodness of what we have already accomplished, what we will accomplish even through the end of this day.